Hello everyone, welcome back. Today also we will be talking about chapter 7 drainage. We will be discussing on some very important points relating to river system in India. Okay, last class we have been talking about what drainage is, what water divide is, what watershed is. We were talking about tributaries. Okay, we were also talking about the different patterns of rivers. We discussed about the dendritic pattern. Okay, so today we will begin with the trellis as well as the radial pattern as well as the centrifugal drainage pattern as well, and then we'll move down to the characteristics of the Himalayan rivers and the Peninsula rivers. Okay, now when we look into the tireless pattern, okay, we will see a kind of a rectangular figure, and you can see that these lines are the river channels. Okay, you can see that these are the river channels, but what happens here is, okay, the setting is such that, okay, these mountains or these valleys have hard rock as well as soft rock. Okay, so what happens here is when water passes through the soft rock, okay, so what happens is it creates like a rectangular space. Okay, so the water flows in a 90-degree. Okay, so what happens is it doesn't flow like the the previous dendritic pattern. What happens here is because of the loose soil which is present along with the hard rock, what happens here is the water cuts through passage through the soft soil, and it creates like a rectangular form joining the main river. Okay, it forms like a rectangular pattern or tributaries, okay, forming the main river. So what happens here is the water cuts through the soft portions of the soil, leaving the hard rock behind. Okay, and it creates a pattern like a rectangular directly cutting off at 90-degree, okay, and joining the river channels. So that is called as the tireless pattern. So for better understanding, we can see in this picture, okay, so it's not like a branch of a tree like the like the dendritic pattern. Okay, here most of the tributaries are cut down from the slopey areas which have loose soil. Okay, so you can see the pattern, it differs from the dendritic pattern. Next, moving on, we have the radial pattern. Okay, radial pattern is nothing but it is like a cone shaped mountain. Okay, for example, we can just say that it has a peak, central peak. Okay, like a cone of ice cream, or maybe a cone of a mountain, or you have a volcanic cone. Okay, so what happens here is the water flows accordingly, okay, from the mountain. So you can just see it from the picture as well. So that is the radical pattern. Next, we have the centrifugal or centripetal drainage system. Here, okay, what happened is, so if you just look, it is found in areas, okay, where river drain towards an inland, okay, or a swamp or a erosion. Okay, so what happens here is the river drains down to a central location, maybe in a lake or maybe in a sea. What happens here is the water will flow down and then come in the center position, like a stable swamp or a lake. Okay, so that is all about the centrifugal drainage pattern. Okay, where water flows from all direction and come and meet in a center point, that is called as centrifugal drainage pattern. Next, we will be dealing about the characteristics of the Himalayan rivers. Okay, so what characteristics do Himalayan rivers have? Okay, so we will study that one by one. So the first characteristics of the Himalayan rivers are, okay, the rivers have large basin. Okay, so what happens here is when they start off from the tributaries, okay, they carry along with them a large portion of land with them as well. Okay, and they cut through the mountains and then create their way joining the main rivers. So the Himalayan rivers have large basin. Okay, and next we have, okay, the Himalayan rivers, okay, creates spectacular gorges. Okay, gorges is nothing but when the river flows, it creates two sides. Okay, like a slopy hillside. You can just see in the picture as well. When the river passes through the land area, it cuts off and then it creates a kind of a channel between both the sides. Okay, it creates like a slopy feel on both the sides. So what happened here is the Himalayan rivers create spectacular gorges, beautiful gorges are being created by the Himalayan rivers. So you can just check it out in the other picture. Okay, it is one of the Himalayan rivers. Okay, and it has spectacular gorges. Okay, so before land was filled up, but what happened when river flows through it? Okay, it creates like a slopy area in both the sides. Okay, so that is all about the Himalayan ridges, which creates spectacular gorges. Also the Himalayan rivers, okay, the steep rock sided deep valley. Okay, so the Himalayan mountains are mostly rocky. So what happened here is, okay, most of the rocks are being cut down by passing of rivers. With due course of time, these rocks are being cut down by the flow of water, okay, creating like silt and sediments for the river as well. Next, we can see that the rivers in the Himalayan regions are perennial, means they flow all throughout the year without stopping, because their water source is such that it keeps on producing water, such as snow caps, glaciers, etc. Okay, and they do not dry up during particular season. And also this river, okay, when they flow down with intensity from these high mountains, okay, they carry along with them sand, silt and sediments, okay, and they bring it down to the low-lying areas, okay, which is also very beneficial. So if we look here, what happens here when it starts reaching the plain area, okay, the sand, silt and clay which has been brought down from the mountains, okay, they slowly starts to deposit in the low-lying area. Clear? They starts to settle down in the low-lying areas, and it becomes very fruitful for the farmers because it can be used for agriculture purposes. Next, we have the Peninsula river system. Okay, so in this river system, valleys. Clear? It will not be similar with the type of the Himalayan rivers. Himalayan rivers originate from tall mountains, okay, very big mountains, but here we will find they flow through shallow valleys, the mountains which are not very high, low-lying mountains. Okay, so we will see this kind of rivers, and most of the rivers are seasonal, means they will flow only during the rainy season. Okay, and when the rainy season gets over, slowly the river dries up. Okay, and what happens here is they don't have high standing mountains, so because of which, okay, their flow of water is slow, as well as less erosional activity happens. Clear? So we will not see erosion activity happening here in these kind of rivers. And if you look into the Himalayan mountains, they have such as the dendritic pattern, the trellis pattern, the radical pattern. But here, when we look into these kind of rivers, we will see that they have more of a straight lining pattern flowing to the sea. Clear? So we can see that, okay, most of the perennial rivers are straight, as well as they have linear courses. Clear? So comparing to the Himalayan rivers, perennial rivers are less active. Okay, we can just say that they are less active because they have a flow. The flow of intensity is very comparatively, if we compare it with the Himalayan river system, okay, the perennial river system, they flow very slowly. Clear? And they also have a straight or a linear pattern. Now moving on, we'll be discussing about the drainage system of India. Okay, so firstly we'll be discussing about the Himalayan rivers. Okay, so the Himalayan rivers have three kind of rivers. They are the Indus system, the Ganga system and the Brahmaputra system. So we will be looking into it one by one. So the first is the Indian river system. So you can see and check out the magnitude of the Indus River. So these blue lining areas are the rivers, okay, are the Indus rivers, which originated from its tributaries, okay, forming the Indus. Next, moving on, okay, the river Indus has its origin from western Tibet in the Himalayas, okay, near Lake Mansarovar. So you can just see it, okay. I've marked it with a red lining. So here in this western Tibetan region, okay, it is originating, okay, from near Lake Mansarovar, and this river covers about 2,900 kilometers. Clear, the stretch from starting from Tibet till the drainage point in the Arabian Sea, okay, it is extending up to 2,900 kilometers long. And also this rivers starts its flow from the Ladakh region, okay. So it starts from this Ladakh region and it passes to Jammu and Kashmir, okay, and it flows down to regions of Pakistan, finally draining it in the Arabian Sea. And in India, okay, the Indus flows through regions of Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, as well as regions of Himachal Pradesh and the parts of Punjab, and then later on reaching Pakistan, okay, later draining it to the, okay, it has spectacular gorges, okay. The Indus River creates spectacular gorges, particularly in the place of Gilgit. Okay, Gilgit is an area here. The Indus Valley creates beautiful gorges, and also we could see that the Indus has a drainage area of about 165,500 square kilometers, of which, okay, 453.250 square kilometers lies in the Himalayan region, okay, and Himalayan mountains and in the foothills and rest of the semi-arid plains of Pakistan, okay. The name, okay, has its origin from the Sanskrit word called as Sindhu, called as the river or stream, okay. So this river Sindhu has also been mentioned in the Rig Veda in India, okay. So that is all about the Indus system of, or the Indus River of India and Pakistan. Clear? Next, moving on, we have the Ganga Basin or the Ganga River. Okay, so the Ganga River, we can see it, the yellow portion which is marked in the map, and where you see the blue lining, these are the courses of the Ganga River and its tributaries. Okay, so the Ganga covers a total length of 2,510 kilometers. Clear? So for most of its courses, okay, you will find sluggish streams. Clear? Because it carries along with them a lot of sand, silt, clay, okay, with them, because it flows from a high level, okay. From high mountains it flows down to the river, to the low-lying areas of Bihar, okay, and so it creates a fertile channel in this kind of areas. Here the Ganga has 5 head streams, okay. These are the important head streams which join together to form the Gangas, okay. So these are Bhagirathi, okay, Alkananda, Mandakini, Daulinga and Pindar. So what happened here is all these 5 head streams, they come and join together at one point or the other point, and then they form the river Ganga, okay. So river Alkananda, okay, so we can just see here the river Alkananda, okay, rises 48 kilometers, okay, it rises 48 kilometers north of the Himalayan peak, okay, at Nanda Devi. So it originates from these areas, okay, around 48 kilometers north of the Himalayan peak, okay. It drifts away 48 kilometers, and then from there it starts the river Alkananda. Next is we have Bhagirathi, okay. This Bhagirathi finds its origin, okay, in the glaciers, Himalayan glaciers called as Gangotri, Okay, so this Gangotri Glacier is the one which provides water to Bhagirathi. Clear? And later it flows down and it joins the river Ganga. The river Alkananda and Bhagirathi, okay, they meet in this point. In the picture you can see that they meet in this point at Dev Pragya. Okay, this point where Bhagirathi and Alkananda meet is called as Dev Pragya, okay, and they form the Gangas. Okay, and it flows through Rishikesh and then it flows through Haridwar plains. Okay, later in Bangladesh, okay, they joined with the river Brahmaputra. Okay, it joins with the river Brahmaputra. You can see that it is joining here, so it joins with the river Brahmaputra. When they join together, okay, it is called as Padma. Clear? When the river Ganga and Brahmaputra joined, okay, and combined streams, they are called as Padma, okay, and it meets the river Meghna. Okay, so what happens here is there's a river called as Meghna in Bangladesh. So what happens there is Brahmaputra river and Ganga join together, okay, and they meet the river Meghna. Okay, so and then later on this water flows down to the Bay of Bengal. So thank you everyone. That is all for today. We will be discussing about the Brahmaputra rivers and the Brahmaputra system and the Peninsula rivers in the next class. Thank you and have a nice day.